Hi guys, Shane here, Flight Simmer. Welcome to another test drive video. This is where we take a scenery, a utility, a aircraft, and we'll actually take it for a test around the block, and I'll give you my first impressions. Yes, again, we are in the Just Fly Arrow, but something different before we put this puppy to bed, and you won't see it flying for a bit. We are in Xplane 11, yes, exclusive first video for you Flight Simmers. We are in Xplane. So if you didn't catch the channel update early in the week, please go and have a look. I'll leave a link in the descriptions. But I thought I would take the Arrow around, something that I'm familiar flying around in, and actually be the first test drive for Xplane 11. So, but we've been saying that, I'm hoping at this end of this video I can actually give you my conclusions and say which platform runs the Just Fly Arrow 3 better. Is it going to be prepared, if it's going to be Flight Sim World, or will it actually be Xplane 11? So I'll leave the conclusion of how she looks up to you guys, because you have seen this before, but I will say this: lighting, PBR, doesn't she look great? I'll get better with X camera, and I'll make the views look a little bit more impressive, and I'm looking forward to doing some montages. But let's jump in the cockpit and see what's different there. So this is the third version of the Arrow 3, so I'm expecting it to be different. So I know they were actually optimized the aircraft to suit Xplane 11's flight dynamics. I know the menu is going to be different, so we're going to go through that in a sec. So we've just closed the passenger, or the baggage, sorry, and the passenger door. So those are those two buttons there. That's actually for the default GPS. I don't need to bring that up. And obviously you can turn on the reflections or not. It does actually make the cockpit a little bit darker, but because this is a dusk flight, we're going to keep it off. The reflections for the gauges as well, I'm actually leaving that off because the cockpit is so red. It's got the old 60s fiery red. It just looks like that the night lighting is on. So autopilot, as well as the auto fuel, so you can actually, which tank you want to use can be auto, but I'll do that myself. That's to check your pressures and things like that, see if you fail in the plugs. Next one along is fuel, and I'm getting a little bit behind. You've got your audio, auto start, checklist, which has come across from previous, the computer, the flight computer, your logbook as well, and also the pushbacks. So all the things, but just a couple other things you can turn on and off, which I guess that comes from being Xplane compatible. But we'll start her up quickly and see how she sounds. So we'll fire up. I won't be using the checklist because we've done this a few times. So we're just going to turn the fuel selector on to the left tank. We'll turn our battery on. And you can hear it winding up and sounding very, very sweet. We'll turn a beacon on so they can say, oh no, Flight Sim is about to start aircraft. Mixture is rich. Having some issues. Fuel pump. There we go. Ooh, that sounds pretty cool. Suction is good. We got some fuel in the belly. Turn that off and we'll start her up. Well, I didn't crack the prop. Let's just move her up to just under 10,000. Woohoo! Sounding good, but I did notice that the engine just sort of started like a lawnmower. It was just like instant, a bit different than Prep3D or FS World, but she does sound awesome. Having some issues getting the alternator on, but we'll get the aircraft configured and ready for taxi. Alrighty, let's go. We'll get our first taxi. Bear with me though, guys, because I know I've got issues with my Cytec rudder pedal, so I don't know if they're broken or if it's an issue with Xplane. There's some people there. There's about 70 different animations in this scenery. So the scenery is AirRock Australia. Can't remember who makes it because I'm all new to the Xplane scene, but I'll leave a link in description from a good YouTube buddy of mine that actually did a promo video for these guys. If anybody is wondering, the only add-ons that I actually have for Xplane at the moment is X camera, this aircraft, and this scenery. That is absolutely it. I haven't actually played around with anything else. So if you're new to the Arrow, I'll leave a link for their website below. This is pretty much a study level aircraft. It's got everything. It's even got different system failures, even landing gear failures. It has absolutely everything. I also leave a link in the descriptions of the full review I did for FSElite. This is merely a sort of first impressions comparison video. Alrighty, so aircraft is configured. We'll just close the window, so you should be able to hear me a little bit easier. We've got one notch of flaps, and we're carrying about 2 hours worth of juice. Now that's a funny place to put a runway light. I actually noticed this scenery is a little bit glitchy, but then again, I haven't really played too much with my settings, so this should be interesting. First takeoff on an uneven runway for a long time, but will be interesting because I don't know if it's the Arrow or if it's me or if it's my rudder pedals, but something's a little bit astray. But anyways, I'll shut up now and enjoy the takeoff. Well, that was an interesting takeoff. I swear there's something wrong with my rudder pedals, but I will say this though, when I actually hit 60 knots, this thing wanted to actually take off, and basically it was nose diving into the ground. She wanted to go. So we've been saying that in P3D you can get this thing up to 80 knots and pull back on the stick and it doesn't even want to take off. So the flight mechanics are absolutely different. I will say this though, I'm enjoying the sound much better than Flight Sim World and much better than Prepared so far. So we will quickly get the Arrow up to about 3,000 or 4,000 feet for a quick cruise over to AirRock. We'll have a look at the autopilot. It is pretty easy. We're just going to use the heading indicator, so we're pretty much going to flick autopilot on, turn to the heading indicator on, and pick our heading now. That'll do. We'll just play around with it, and Bob's your uncle. So the only thing I don't know if this actually has an altitude hold that is actually modelled in the Flight Sim World version and also in the Prepared version, but we've been saying that. Let's throw to a montage. Welcome back. We just disconnected the autopilot. We're just about to make a left-hand turn. We'll fly past AirRock, check out the cockpit, and fly back. I will say this though, there was one issue that was fixed for the Arrow that was in Prepared, and that was the throttle alarm. So if you push the throttle back, it would go off, and I actually find in the Xplane version it's changing all over the place. So it's going off at 50, it's going off at 25. The configuration of the aircraft is still the same, it's just different. So with insane that little bug fix, hopefully they'll fix that, we will have a look around the cockpit quickly. So this version of the cockpit looks very similar to the Flight Sim Worlds version. I did actually notice those metal plates there and the actual metal on the rudder pedals. It looks a bit off. The colours don't look exactly right. It does, that part of the cockpit actually looks better in prepared. But all in all, looks very similar to the Flight Sim Worlds. So the colours are a lot more brighter. I would put that down probably to the PBR technology. So my conclusion, the cockpit actually looks better in Flight Sim World and Xplane. Xplane's cockpit does come with the default 530, or sorry, the 430, so that is a bonus on top of the Flight Sim World one. So that's pretty cool. So obviously the fiery red just makes everything look red, but as you can see, all the details, it's a very detailed cockpit. So I think we've seen enough of the fiery red chairs. We'll just turn around and jump back into the cockpits and head our way back to the airport and see if we can land this thing. Welcome back. So we're just on a final approach in. We have got a wicked crosswind landing, and I'm actually crabbing like a legend. But we'll see, because like I said, I'm having some issues with my rudder pedal. Should be quite interesting. But so far it's been very enjoyable. One of my first flights in Xplane 11 with the Arrow. But I'll be quiet now. Please enjoy the final moments of the landing. Woohoo-wee! That was a close one. What a butchered landing by itself. There's got to be some sort of issue there with aileron trim or rudder trim, but geez, that was a lot of fun. So we'll just clean the aircraft up, and we'll make a right turn just up here off the runway. But very, very interesting. So we'll take a look at the replay, and I'll come back to you and I'll give you my final thoughts of the Arrow in Xplane 11. That replay absolutely cracks me up. So if you're new to the channel, get used to those sorts of things, because I actually don't edit my landings. I don't go and do another couple or try to get the perfect landing. I will actually record and put up what absolutely happened. But I will tell you this though, I've actually done some flights since this one and have rectified the situation, and yeah, the aircraft is flying a lot better than what it did on this flight. So nothing to do with Just Flight's Arrow 3, it was my setup. So I realise, I know I haven't gone through as much detail about the aircraft, but this is probably the third test drive, or the fourth actually, sort of review I've done on this aircraft between FSElite and the Oz Flight Sim channel. So I'll leave some links below so you can see the full details. But I will say this, the guys at Just Flight have really used the flight mechanics. The sound engine in this is better than the previous versions, and it just looks as good as what it does in Flight Sim World. So you know, they've improved the Aero every single time they add it to a new simulator. So with me saying that, I think I've enjoyed this more in Xplane 11 than what I have done in the other sims. So thank you very much for watching. I hopefully you enjoyed the first Xplane 11 video. There'll be more of this content coming out, plus all the other things Flight Sim World and prepared. If you liked the video, please hit the thumbs up, and if you're new to the channel, please subscribe. Thanks very much for watching, and have an awesome day. Cheers, goodbye.